Our resident life skills and money coach is back to share some optimistic things you need to know about the home buying market. Good to see you.
Hey, it's good to be. Where's Kelly at? We lost Kelly this morning. It's like a rose garden with nothing but the thorns left, isn't it?
We've misplaced her for today.
We've got stories about self-milking cows this morning. This is utterly one of the most interesting shows you've ever done.
Stop it. Now to business at hand. He'll be here all week. Be sure to tip your
yes, right.
No debt, no sweat guy. See, let me ask you this. We talk about the housing market. Is it truly a buyer's market right now? And the reason I say that is because we've heard about the change. There's a change beginning to develop, I believe, in the industry.
Well, Charlie, that's the $64 question right now. Realtors are wondering that. Of course, it's springtime almost.
Sure.
And in springtime, people's hearts turn to love, but they also turn to homes usually. The question is, this year, is that going to really happen? Now, there's some good reasons why it may happen, and they're exactly the reasons that we would not necessarily think about. First off, banks have got lots of foreclosures that they're needing to deal with. That's one of the things that's going on. Also, cost of homes have dropped drastically nationwide right now. The prices on homes nationally are down 10 to 12% nationwide, and in some places where the home prices had gone up much higher than others, like in Las Vegas and Miami, they're down even more. Here in Nashville's kind of a mid-level market. We're sort of like Charlotte, as we were talking a moment ago, and that's a good typical market. We're down probably 10 or 12% here in Nashville. The question is, what is going to happen in the future? Something else that's going on, of course, is negative public sentiment. When people kind of begin to turn away from something, then that might be an indication that it's not a bad time to start looking at it again.
You mentioned a moment ago that the banks have a lot of foreclosures. The last thing they want to do is foreclose on a home because it's just property they have to take back. In a lot of cases, they lose money on it. How easy is it to find a deal through a foreclosure? And are you going to save a lot of money, or are the banks being a little more patient and trying not to lose as much money?
Well, all of those things play into this thing, Charlie. The banks are doing everything they can, the smart banks anyways, and the mortgage companies. These are not necessarily just FDIC insured type banks, but mortgage companies nationally are doing everything they know how to now to help present home buyers keep their homes, which is probably the right thing to do in most cases. However, the truth is also, a lot of these banks have a lot of inventory. A lot of the mortgage companies are trying to get rid of these things. I don't recommend going through these foreclosure deals at the county courthouses because that can get complicated and be a problem. But a real estate agent that has a home that's listed that's in foreclosure, if the information on it is correct and right, that can be a really good deal.
All right, you have some rules of thumb.
Yeah, let me share 2 or 3 thoughts with you that you may find to be helpful on this thing, because especially, and I'll say this is mainly for those people that may be first-time home buyers. You don't already have a house that's already down 10 or 15%, and you're thinking about buying that first house. It might be a good time. 2 or 3 things to consider here. Number one, look for a deal. Don't be expecting to pay what you would have maybe a year and a half ago. Look for something that's 10, 25, 30% less than what it has been.
Really?
Nothing wrong with doing that, because there are homes all over the area right now that are owned by builders and others that would be thrilled to get rid of those homes.
All you have to do is make an offer.
Yeah,
all they can do is say no.
All they can do is say no. And by the way, the law says that, or at least the real estate code says that realtors have got to take any legitimate offer that they're made to the prospective buyer or seller. So don't be afraid to offer the money.
It's not like they're going to hide it from them.
Yeah, and the second thing I'd encourage you to do is this. Don't go for the freebies. A lot of times builders will do anything they can to try to get rid of a house.
Well, an incentive, sure.
Yeah, and you'll see these deals, well, we're going to give you a refrigerator and a stove. And I can remember back in the 70s, real estate guys and girls got to the point where they were trying to give away cars with a house. Well, there's no such thing as a freebie. Think about it. If you get a refrigerator, if you get a home that has a refrigerator already in it, and you're paying for that house over 15 or 30 years on a mortgage, you're really just financing that refrigerator for 30 years, and the thing's going to be dead in 10. That's not a good deal.
They had Hannah Montana tickets a couple of months ago.
Did they really?
Home. Oh yeah.
Well, now that might be a little different. That's sort of a kind of take it now or leave it sort of thing.
Sure.
But let me share a third thought with you that you might find helpful. Take a look at a 15 or a 20-year mortgage, not a 30-year mortgage. If you're thinking about buying a home on a 30-year mortgage, let's say a $250,000 house, you're going to be paying more money in 2 ways. Number one, you're going to be paying more interest over the long term, and number 2, you're going to be charged a higher initial interest rate. Right now, nationwide, 30-year mortgages, fixed-rate mortgages, are just under 6%. 15-year mortgages, fixed rates, are about 6.5%. So you get a lower interest rate, plus you pay less interest. You will probably save on that particular home something close to $100,000 in interest.
You know, as far as interest rates are concerned, it's more affordable now than ever before.
Well,
because it used to be double digits back in the 80s.
You know, a month ago, interest rates were 0.5% higher than they are right now. And they are, you're right, Charlie, historically, we're at one of the lowest spots we've been in 40 years.
But still, again, when it comes to first-time home buyers, is it easy for them to qualify? Because we hear about everybody being very tight with the lending now.
Well, you know, if you've done things correctly, the answer is yes. What has happened, we've been in a bubble for the last few years. It was an unfair bubble for everybody because it raised expectations, and anybody that had a pulse practically could get a loan, and that's not the way things ought to be done. Today, they're getting back to some sanity. If you've got a good FICO score, if you're paying your bills correctly, if you've got a track record, you ought to be able to get a reasonably good mortgage.
All right, it's time to do it right now. If you'd like more information, you want to stay in touch with this guy, it's very easy. Check out his website, stevediggs.com. It's no debt, no sweat. The man will steer you in the right direction. Good to see you as always, sir.
It's good to be here, buddy.
Have a good
one.
weekend. You betcha. All
Take it
right.
easy.
It's